Kia ora tātou, warm Pacific greetings, and thank you, May. I was just looking around this amazing room, and I think the last time I was in this room was years ago, when they used to have swing dancing on Sunday nights, and I was invited to go along with some friends, and my partner were invited to go along and join in the swing dancing. I can tell you that I did not display a lot of cultural competence on that occasion. And I'd also like to assure Julia that in the Auckland University of Technology, and I'm sure in the University of Auckland, Massey University and other universities that might be represented here, we don't harness young talent, we release it. Universities by nature have a diverse, or at the very least an international character, and much of New Zealand's and Auckland's super diversity can be attributed to its educational institutions and their international student recruitment and their international staff recruitment. AUT, for example, has 3,700 international students from 92 countries, mainly from China and East Asia, but also with large numbers from the Middle East, from India, from Russia, and from Northern Europe. The international students at AUT represent 17% of our student enrolment. Recently, the Times Higher Education World University Ranking Agency published their results for the international outlook of universities. They determined that that aspect of universities was an essential one for any educational institution in the modern world today, particularly an institution of higher learning. And they considered international partnerships and research connections, the percentage of international students that a university had in its enrolment, and the percentage of academic staff it had in its faculty. And I'm pleased to say that AUT came out 12th in the world and first in Australasia for International Outlook according to that assessment. And partly that was simply because we have such a rich and diverse environment ethnically, nationally and culturally in the community at AUT. So I should also note that all New Zealand universities were in the top 200 in that assessment, that international assessment and ranking of International Outlook for universities. And you might think, well, you know, the top 200, that's not very good. There are even 200 universities in the world. There's actually apparently 15,000 universities in the world. So all of New Zealand universities being in the top 200 is quite an indication of the international orientation that New Zealand universities have, and to some extent that must reflect the international orientation that New Zealand has of recent years. Our 3,700 international students, of course, graduate, turn over, and need to be replaced with new students each year, meaning that we need to provide an environment in which such students can be comfortable, can be successful, can be satisfied with their experience, and tell others of that. And this has meant providing new services, delivering other services in different ways, and those things are something that we certainly haven't got right yet. But we have to. We have to maintain a strong and positive reputation so international students keep coming, because they provide a lot for us. First of all, and the most obvious one, which we should get out of the way at the beginning, they bring lots of profitable revenue. They bring in dollars. And to some extent, universities are in an export education business that needs to connect to its markets and needs to satisfy its customers from a wide range of national, ethnic and cultural backgrounds, and it needs to do that in a very competitive international context. Perhaps just as importantly, international students bring variety to our thinking and practices. They contribute without intending to, without thinking about it, they contribute different assumptions. They contribute different perspectives on issues, and even different epistemologies and conceptions of what is true and what is good. These are the stuff of university inquiry, and the different perspectives and backgrounds and assumptions greatly enrich it. there's some evidence that students who are in a diverse educational environment develop more thinking skills, more critical skills, and more analytical skills simply by having to grapple with the different perspectives that come forward in discussions, etc. International students also give all of our students the experience of dealing cross-culturally, of dealing with the complexity of many people from different backgrounds coming together to work together and be together in one place. They also connect us as a university and a city and a country to the world. So of course, our experience with international students is something that not only demands us to deal with diversity, but is something that makes a great contribution to our city and beyond. Of course, international students aren't the only source of diversity here in Auckland. Our domestic students are hugely diverse, and a survey this year indicated that our domestic students were born in 140 different countries in the world. So even without recruiting any international students, because we are in Auckland, we have a huge diversity. Ethnically, 20% of our domestic students identify as Asian, 10% as Māori, who of course have suffered a real challenge with coping with diversity as the first peoples of this country, which has been a country of immigration for the last couple of hundred years. 12% of our students identify as Pacific Island, and more. There are other diversities, as I indicated. So those who are of Euro-Anglo origins are a minority. Of course, we don't just have ethnic diversity. We have diversity in religious practice and belief, and in codes of conduct, accepted codes of conduct. Not the codes of conduct that the university puts up, but those that are written on people's hearts and minds. We have, for example, had to establish a Muslim prayer room, because if you are a practicing Muslim, you need to pray at times of the day that fall within the working hours of the university. And so rather than making it difficult for Muslim students to practice their faith and making it possibly even a nuisance for others, we have set aside a room for them to do that. And that's not the same as our multi-faith room, where other people can go at any time of the day and Muslim students don't have to feel as though they're interrupting them to conduct their prayers. We also have diversity in physical ableness. In some communities of physical different abilities define themselves as a culture. For example, the deaf or hard of hearing community identifies their community as a cultural community with its own language and its own practices and its own events and celebrations. And so we have to deal with a wide range of different physical abilities, and we've been assisted by the organisation Be Accessible, and we're working towards having a gold standard in accessibility by 2017. And that's so that we can ensure that as many people as possible can come to enjoy and benefit from the services that we provide. We also live in a world of diversity in sexual orientation and identity. And this is something that is very topical throughout the world today. And in New Zealand, we have been one of the first countries to allow and to provide for marriage between those of same sex. Australia is having a referendum on it possibly. Other countries are exploring this, and then other countries are just exploring whether they can accept openly gay people in their community. AUT was the first university in New Zealand to obtain a rainbow tick for our exclusive policies with respect to LGBTI. Our approach to diversity is partly push and partly pull. And for example, we wouldn't have had a rainbow tick if it wasn't for a member of the gay community at AUT pushing his colleagues and others to apply for this and working with the university, pushing the university to make the necessary changes so that we could obtain that recognition. In other ways, of course, we are required to acknowledge diversity and to make progress with it. The Tertiary Education Commission has requirements, government has requirements, the legislation has requirements. But a lot of our diversity relates entirely to the desires, the pressures, the pushes, the requests of those in our community. Of course, as Julia has pointed out, there are two sides to each one of us, core and flex. And I wonder whether that doesn't only apply for individuals, but also applies for organisations and functioning communities and societies. Are there core and flex things within an organisation? If there are, can they be changed? Must they be changed? Are there core and flex things in a society? I think some of the most profound things that would be in the core in societies and cultural communities would be widely found. For example, the desire for peaceful interaction and engagement between people. The opportunity for a quiet enjoyment of life and the necessities and the opportunities for enjoyment that it provides. And fairness and justice. And so at AUT, we're blessed with, or oppressed with, the challenge of making sure that no person is excluded from the opportunity, the benefits of university education for unnecessary reasons. And more than that, that the students and staff, the employers and communities of our graduates are not having the enjoyment, the opportunity, the benefit of learning from and enjoying difference withheld from them. In the university, our core, if there is a core, includes things like our language of tuition. You can't study here unless you can speak English. Our desire that nobody engages in plagiarism. The fact that we have interactive rather than didactic teaching. The fact that we want equality for women and fairness for all, and we want our activities and our practices to respect that, and respect for others. So there are some things that we won't change for diversity, and I guess that's the core of our community as a university. And I think that if any community that's wider than a university, any society, say the communities in Auckland, need to consider whether there is a core that needs to keep developing. Not so much by enforcement, not so much by planning or policy, but by a dialogical dynamic, a dynamic of development and change that comes through conversation, interaction, seeking to understand, and keeping what attracted people to this place in the first place, keeping that there, identifying what it is. I don't know what it is that attracts people to Auckland. Maybe it's the islands, maybe it's the Waitakaris. I suspect it's something to do with the way that Auckland is and the experience that people have of being in Auckland with other people. Universities contribute to our cultural competence and cultural capabilities by having students that grow up together through those years of advanced education and come from widely different backgrounds, widely diverse societies. And we provide an opportunity and an environment in which students can become innovative, understanding, self-aware, more aware of their own culture, their own cores and flexes, and ready to discover and expand their range of ability to work with other people. And then they can play a part in developing a diverse future for New Zealand. Kia ora tātou, thank you very much.